After the 12 consecutive 2-0 series, we are back for the Analyst test for game number 2 here in LCK. A lot of people have been discussing that Dynamics comp was really hard to pull off, and it's more like a solo queue style comp. It really depends hard on the laning phase, and there's no tank. So it's really hard to get a lot of lead in a lot of skirmishes and also fights around the neutral objectives. Moving on to the team game, the competitive games, it's really hard to see games where one laner kind of hard punish the opponents, but this time around, Dynamics, they did manage to exert a lot of pressure during the laning phase. In addition to that, unless one lane kind of gets collapsed, it's actually really easy to kind of pick on the opponents. Dynamics were able to pull off this kind of confidence because Renekton was having a really hard time at the top lane. When he got ganked at the first time by Nidalee, it was not a very special or strategic pass from Nidalee. Renekton was going really greedy, and Olaf, he also had a chance to cover for Summit, but he also focused on his jungle camps. So both top laner and mid jungler was focusing really hard on their profits and gold. It ended up actually losing one player on their side. Dynamics, they had a 200 IQ play over here. Bard used his ultimate to neutralize the charge of Shelly, not giving any of the turret plates over here, and then this turned into a fight. However, Braum got chunked from the beginning, and later on, LeBlanc seemed to be getting chased by the SANDBOX player, but it was actually a turnaround collapse from Dynamics player. In addition to that, LeBlanc even popped the W stun from Renekton, making a huge profit from this skirmish. So that was a small fight that happened in the top side and then transpired into a Shelly mind game and then into a skirmish. Dynamics, they were really smart and at the same time showing a huge prowess with this mechanics. As the casters were keep mentioning, Dynamics players at the later phase of the game, they had a lot of items and spells to neutralize the stuns from the side of SANDBOX Gaming, and Renekton was spotted already, and everyone on the side of Dynamics knew that Summit is looking for a flank in that rush, but the Crocodile was not aware of that. It's really hard to open a fight with Ashe Ultimate because already all 5 members or 4 members had the item and spells and activity or ability to neutralize it. Because SANDBOX Gaming was not able to make any meaningful opening of a fight throughout the game, they were a little bit hasting and rushing in at the same time. Then let's check out the player of the game on the side of Team Dynamics. It's gonna be Cougar on the Rat the Chad. He does deserve it. With a very smart moves with his ultimate, especially freezing the turret, both for a defensive move and also for an offensive attempt. So for here, he actually made the turret go golden to get a kill during the turret dive, but this time around, he used his ultimate for their turret to protect their turret and keeping their turret plates intact. Even though SANDBOX Gaming, they had a little bit of awareness of the Bard champion itself, the way Cougar kind of utilized it was on another level. That was a really nice combo from Aphelios and Bard, picking up a kill on an Ashe without a flash. A little bit of a split with the MPOG vote, but still he is walking away with 8 votes for his POG. Then let's move on to the Rift for the decider game that we have been waiting for 12 games in a row.
Thank you so much, G-Sun, as usual, for your Analyst Desk translation. It's been a while since we've had a game number 3. I believe we were on 6 in a row as far as 2-0s. It was a speedy week so far, but we're back again for a game number 3 to see whether this gentleman's going to be able to walk away, moving into equal 3rd place with Gen.G and T1. That is what is on the line here for Dynamics, and a first match win is what's on the line for SANDBOX. And also, Yamato Cannon's 100% win rate is another thing that we need to bear in mind.
For series now,
yeah.
There's still a chance.
For series. He's, he wants to either get to 66.6 repeating, as far as the game win rate, but
100% in series is
it does sound much
possible.
better, doesn't it?
And we need to not have last pick Renekton's into only mobile ranged poke champions again.
Yep.
We were talking about how that might have been one of the weirdest spots to see Renekton in a draft. And Team Dynamics say, well, we just don't like Syndra. We're going to take that off the board. We don't want to give that to Fate this time around. They're also going to ban Varus on blue.
Yeah, they're sick of people leaving it up, I guess. It's just not something that Dom is able to play all that well. And so Kelly and the Karma are going to be banned here on SANDBOX's side, and they have one free ban. As Dynamics trying to work out exactly what they want to take away next. Trundle has been banned in the first round every single game on blue side as well. So a likely option, and that will come through for the final ban.
Nobody likes Trundle. He's a big troll. And it's quite good. Often picked into Aphelios, so it can be used as a way to say, hey, are you really going to leave Aphelios available? Well, we might just be able to take it. And
whoa,
okay,
that's
never mind. The bear can jump on top of the Aphelios, but generally you don't want to have too many champions that run into the Aphelios. And Volibear loves to run straight in a line at the enemy champions, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them pick up Aphelios here. The Ezreal is still available, though, so that is something to keep in mind, and they're going to ignore it. They're going to say, we would rather be Aphelios in this situation.
Yeah, I do like the Volibear as far as building a dive comp, though, so it does certainly suit taking down what the Aphelios does offer. On fleek, look, you can't argue with his consistency. He just loves Olaf. He's going to lock it in.
He watched that show, Vikings, and he was like, I just really love the lore behind this champion. I think I'll pick it. And
no, he read His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and that has Yorick Burnison, who's he's an armored bear, he's super badass. Was in the Golden Compass movie, which is terrible, by the way, but he was by Ian McKellen, who is also super cool because he's Gandalf, amongst many other things. He's also knighted, extraordinary human being. So you
is
can
he as cool
why.
as Brad, though? Brad the Chad.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, okay.
He's way cool.
All right.
Yeah, and that's why Brad the Chad currently has surprise Pikachu face, because he's like, wait, what? I'm not.
Yeah, I thought Brad was the coolest, actually.
Yeah, I know you did.
And we are going to be seeing 200 Years Under the Sea, Aphelios and Nautilus coming together once again, best friends forever, returning. And Grilla's going to give it another shot on this Nautilus. He hasn't had too much success on that one. Only played one game of it so far, though. So.
Oh, if he only played one game, then he might be 100% win rate. Because it might have been in that one game that they won.
No, they lost. He won the Tom Kench game.
Ah, of course.
Yeah, he's 1-2. Well, 2-2 now. After getting the win in game 1.
Yeah, exactly.
So he was 1-2 before.
Evening it out. It was banned in game number 2, though, so wasn't able to go back towards it. Decides that even with it on the table, doesn't want the Tom Kench this time, opting in for a strong lane instead. But Guga back on the Bard. I'm trying to say Brad Bard at the same time.
He's a bra.
Yeah, back on the bruh.
That's probably the way he sounds.
Yeah. It's a little bit frightening.
Other than making, like, chime noises.
Yeah. bruh.
Yeah, when you hear his real voice, that's when you get surprised.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what he sounds like when he finds a chime that doesn't, it's just not quite as good
Bruh.
as the other chimes.
What is
you
that?
know?
Yeah.
I went searching for this for so long. Bruh.
yeah.
Terrible. Anyway, Azir, taken away last, just going to be firing down on Kuzan's champion pool. The Aatrox probably going to be picked on red 4, because, you know, we're SANDBOX. And if we're going to go out, we're going to go out swinging. Swinging and sinning.
Yeah. They're going to the sin bin. That is for sure. What's up next? Renekton? Aatrox?
Oh, just
Aatrox.
Just R4 Renekton. R4 Renekton. Which one
I
of
think
us
it's
gets to
one,
go
one
home?
of the two.
Because one of us is solo casting, honestly. If that Renekton comes in, I think that's just what's going to happen. We just both rage quit at the same time. That's less funny, I think, for the viewer.
What's it going to be?
Or I think Aatrox
will
makes sense to pick it away from Rich.
5-head Yamato go for something else.
Okay.
He says Corky's on the menu.
And Azir Corki is impossible.
Wow.
Because it's been banned. Extraordinary. I mean, the mid lane pool was well and truly thinned. So picking mid lane does make some sense here. I think that's okay. Also, the amount of consistent damage of both magic and physical is now extraordinarily high. So SANDBOX can feel very free to go towards a tank on the top side if they would like to, or just go for some kind of counter pick into whatever Rich is going to pick. Unless Dynamics keeps the flexi play going, as they could pick something that flexes,
Yeah.
you know, jungle top, mid top,
Well,
or they could pick Mordekaiser.
looks like it's going to be Lucian versus Corky mid. Mordekaiser blind, which we've seen does not work.
Yeah.
It is not great. Actually, teams, I think, have figured out how to handle the Mordekaiser top. Now, has don't say Renekton.
Renekton. Let's go. If at first you don't succeed, get really.
Look at, he's got like a little smirk on. He's like, oh, I think I know what would work.
Ooh, Kenny was banned
Okay.
a lot, actually. So this is going to be Summit once again on more of the flanking team fighter. Don't mind that whatsoever. You're able to keep your distance from the Death's Grasp. And can also buy time in the Death Realm as well with all of the stuns that you do have available to you. So I don't mind this. Coming through from Summit, certainly one of his comfort picks as well. I think it's in his top 5 most played of all time. And this comp feels a little bit better coming out from SANDBOX. I don't like the Olaf. I feel like in a comp like this, it doesn't have a lot of value, and SANDBOX do have a lot of scaling in the Corki and the Aphelios lanes.
Yeah.
So Dynamics, once again, could be heading towards Lane Kingdom, but we'll just have to see how it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, on Fleek, just going for comfort and maybe the jungle matchup, and it's kind of like the outlier for sure. But on the side of Team Dynamics, they seemingly came up with some interesting picks as well. The blind Mordekaiser is definitely one that might bite them in the back after all of this. We get to see Kuzan back on Lucian. This is, if you're a Lucian fan, this is the one team to follow because they have a lot of Lucian players. 2 is a lot for any team right now. So he gets picked up once again, this time for the mid lane. And we did not see Renekton. No Aatrox. Nothing like that. We stopped sinning and we immediately transitioned into some range up against some of that engage that Team Dynamics have.
Yeah, actually, I think this SANDBOX comp is looking better than game number 2. Still worried about the Olaf, but there's something to be said for aiming for comfort. As Dynamics this time around, it's not the finesse poke, what the Analyst were referring to as more of a solo queue style of comp. It is certainly looking a lot more standard with your couple of carries in the Ezreal and the Lucian, and a big burly magic damage champion such as the Mordekaiser. Helps offer them back a little bit of that damage range. Plus beyond, I mean, Volibear does hybrid damage. Split pretty 50-50, to be honest. I feel like people put a lot of emphasis onto the magic damage portion of Volibear's kit, but I'm pretty sure it's only like maybe a little bit over 50% of his abilities. Yeah.
Let's say 55.
Yeah, 55-45?
Yeah.
We can agree on that.
Let's
sounds fine.
yeah, that sounds good. We got a lot of the yellow here.
Oh yeah.
In the runes, it's all about the yellow.
We're conquering the attack at this point.
5 Conquerors, double press the attack, 1 Fleet footwork, and then a couple of green boys down there in the bottom lane.
Yep, some Guardians. Galaxy. At least one of them. To, of course, have Gorilla taking the Aftershock, as is what you want to do, as good old Nautilus. Fate already chunked a little bit here, as I believe Kuzan managed to get either a Piercing Light and a double tap, or something else. Didn't see what he actually took as his first ability. It was, in fact, a Piercing Light, and he does it again, and does a lot of damage.
And gets another hit.
Oh, God.
Ooh, Fate is not taking the best trades here. The Gatling gun can be useful early, up against melee, up against weaker range, but up against Lucian, that's so you're not going to get very good trades. I'll tell you that.
I feel like you just actually want to be bombing the wave and then running away in most of the instances. But you are the Corki expert. That is not I. 10-0.
I think that definitely would have worked out a little bit better. He's missing so many CS here.
Oh no, they are all super. He didn't even get that one.
He got 2. Okay, 3.
Jeepers.
Great. It's better than 2.
That's true. That is 100% true.
We're improving. Oh, he missed another one. Oh man, he's
God.
Kuzan is just making this so difficult for him too.
And he has Ignite. So actually, to be honest, like if he gets an E-auto, Q-auto, Fate's dead.
Yeah.
With Ignite.
Fate knows it too. He knows he's very close. And the exhaust will help in a full-on engage, but up against like the pokey style of early Lucian, you can't do it. But here comes on Fleek.
Yep, flash immediately from Kuzan.
Wow.
That's what happens when you put your E on cooldown, especially this early. As Ardent Blaze, even Ardent Blaze is doing damage. It's really frightening. Okay, there's the flash out. Beyond gets exhausted.
Ooh.
There's a flash.
Nearly got him.
So much damage, yeah, onto Fate. As Guga, he was even moving on in here. And On Fleek desperately wants to make sure that these minions don't go to waste. And Gorilla is also leaving the lane. Just a lot of people vacating many of these areas. Rich is getting also pushed in, missing a lot of this farm as well. Oh my God. It's getting late. It's getting late. It's getting more difficult.
The players are tired.
Yep. You can see On Fleek has been farming a little bit better than Beyond. Also still has his flash, Beyond does not.
Yeah, On Fleek just showed his face, got the flash, went right back to farming, went in, stole Raptors, it looks like, from Beyond.
Yep.
So he's trying to win that jungle matchup, whereas he knows the mid lane was kind of destroyed. Okay, we're going to get 9 CS here in... How many waves is this? Like 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Actually, it's a little bit less. It's like 3 or 4.
I mean, it's 26-9, but you know you can see in the bottom lane where there has been less harassment. It is even on 36-36. So Fate has been denied so much in this game.
This is like a Lucian player's dream where he's like, oh, look, I poked him out. I destroyed the lane. Coach, please let me play Lucian. And
I think Lucian has a better place mid than he does top, 100%.
Yeah, it depends.
Can work.
You know, it depends on if you're able to get like a blind pick Lucian that you can flex, or, you know, you're picking it to counter some kind of tank or melee up in the top side where you'll see that a little bit more often as they're trying to collapse now onto Kuzan. But Cougar's here. And it almost feels like these ganks are just like desperately trying to allow Fate to farm.
Yeah, no, that's straight up what it is. This is damage control. As Gorilla not going to get bound into the wall. Gatling gun doing some work here onto Kuzan for the minute. So that trade actually works out much better for the Corki than you could otherwise expect. He even has a Sapphire Crystal, so it is going to be Fate going for the Manamune build as well, most likely, unless he decides to go for a Desperation Sheen, just to help him with some of these trades. It is a rough game, though, as On Fleek going to move on in. Boss Bomb going to get a fair bit of damage here onto Kuzan, who, remember, doesn't have his flash. That's why he's getting so much of this attention. Magical Journey. SANDBOX are ahead in gold. So, despite the fact that this mid lane has been crushing, it's not really working out here, as Kuzan does have his E back up, so I don't think On Fleek's going to be able to close that gap.
Yeah. OnFleek has spent so much time just shadowing the Lucian here that Volibear has been able to catch up in the XP and CS department. He's going to be looking top, but that's not going to work. He doesn't show himself, actually, because he notices that Summit runs away.
I do want to talk about something. Because we did have what felt like the worst possible Renekton pick. Is this the worst possible Mordekaiser pick? Because Mordekaiser is used in a lot of instances to deny the jungler. And a jungler with Ragnarok, I don't think goes into the death realm. I think you can just ulti out of it. Can you not? I
don't know. I feel like we should have seen this before.
Right? I'm perplexed. I can ask the collective.
I don't think...
You can't. Okay. That's according to one person. Yes.
Yeah, I was... It makes you immune to roots, right?
Immune to CC. Because you can't get slowed or anything like that. So, but...
Yeah, pretty sure that it does work. I mean, OnFleek is going to be one of those targets that in the late game...
You can ult out of it. So actually, you need to have Ragnarok available. If he ults you while you're Ragnarok, you don't get out, but it works as like a QSS if you're in the death room.
Huh. Okay.
That's the confirmation.
It's interesting. I feel like we should have seen Mordekaiser versus Olaf before in the LCK, given their popularity, but
if that's the interaction, we should never see Mordekaiser into Olaf, ever. Because that takes away one of the main reasons why you'd ever pick Mordekaiser.
Yeah. I mean, just picking Mordekaiser blind is already...
It's already bad.
Very interesting. There were so many things that Summit could have played into it. He just decided that Renekton was the correct one in this position, and he picks up a call. He gets ahead already, 14 CS. He's going to own the lane, and the Mordekaiser's not going to be able to scale very well. He's going to be pretty weak. We've seen it before where he tries to ult in Aphelios and then he just gets blown up. It's not very fun, as we mentioned 2-on-2 here.
That's real bad. Is OnFleek. He's going to throw an axe at the bear. The bear says, nope, not going to arrest you this time around, but he gets off with a warning. This Gorilla, shot barrage, just avoided so expertly by walking in exactly the direction as he was always going to walk. I like it. You never expect that.
Yeah, Challenger or Iron is always the question. Do you just walk in a straight line, or do you try to dodge it? But that is the expected play, that you would dodge it.
Exactly. As Kuzan gets exhausted, Culling comes in. Axe not going to be able to find anything. Kuzan just trades his ultimate for a summoner spell. And just so you guys know, that is always worth it for the one who used the ultimate. SANDBOX still in the lead as Summit. He's got ultimate available, not going to put it down early as the Death Realm is now Summit. He may have to use it. He's going to. Might actually have a bit of slicing mouse from time by the end, but no, he's not. And First Blood is going to go over to Kuzan.
Yeah, and that actually made Mordekaiser look useful when it's 3-on-2 and nobody's rotating up from SANDBOX to help, as Mordekaiser is also pretty low. They're trying to
package delivery to Guga. He's well and truly dead. Gorilla's going to be able to grab that kill. As now Beyond's going to have to get off Shelly. He's going to have to ult out of there as well, as Root goes so deep for this one. See whether he flashes, and he does so. That's desperation to try and get a kill, try and get that snowball working, and I respect it 100%. The rest of Dynamics get out. Shelly not going to be so lucky. And SANDBOX, after throwing away a lead, pick it right back up again.
That they do. Summit was able to TP back into the fight. He didn't have his ultimate, but his presence was very nice to help them out in that one. As we'll have to take a look at the replay. It was a pretty broken up fight there. SANDBOX got ahead. They're going to drop this here and give Fate some much needed gold. And yeah, they're just going to protect it here. Wait until the charge comes in. Fate going to pick up 160 of his own and catch up just a bit in that CS mark.
Yep, catch up in gold as well. So we have a look at this fight one more time from Rich's perspective.
야, 캐넨 나온 반피거든? 캐넨 궁도 썼어. 캐넨 뭐야, 캐넨 플래시 있다, 캐넨 플래시 있다.
Kennen has flash, but he used his ultimate. It's basically the main stuff he was saying. And after that, Team Dynamics tried to force this, but they must have heard Corky coming with package And it's 4-on-4. I mean, you're not. It's not really going to go well for you with your composition here. They all got split up. Lucian and Mordekaiser went top side. The other two went down bot. It was just a very messy one for Team Dynamics, and SANDBOX immediately jumped on it. The Aphelios did have to flash, but he picked up a kill because he flashed. So he's a little bit vulnerable now. You can see that Beyond is trying to make the best of it. If they can Bard ult and then potentially jump on in. But it's not really going to pan out here. And as long as Root plays safe, he's got near the most farm in the game. And he is also up a kill.
Ooh, Dredgeline lands here from Gorilla. Depth charge, move him out of the way, and look at the layering of CC. It's beautiful. And now Summit seems to have found Kuzan. Hasn't even invested his... Oh, did invest his flash, in fact. And Fate moves on forward and helps grab that kill for Summit. And SANDBOX now looking at this Infernal Drake. What is this? They had Yamato's secret stuff afterwards. You know, he came into the locker room, gave them all the pep talk. And then Bugs Bunny was like, yeah, but what about your secret stuff?
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, you know, I know we're memeing a lot about Yamato and how he comes in with 400 IQ and basically just takes over the LCK, but old SANDBOX would have picked Aatrox for Summit. We got a fight here, actually.
Yeah, Rich is flashing on top of Summit. Summit desperately wanting to find some sort of stun, but can't get it. And Rich just dominating in the 1v1.
Yeah. And he's making that Mordekaiser look good just because of the way that Summit is playing. But either way, this was pretty straightforward. You got to layer your CC to get Bard down. Otherwise, he's going to take his little magical journey. And we're going to see how Summit makes good use of this. He uses Flash, Ultimate, and everything to get in position to try to pick up this kill, which in turn made him vulnerable here. And this is just going to be Rich just running straight at him. Summit shouldn't have gotten range. Rich ends up flashing for it, but it's always going to be worth it to pick up that kill and push your lead.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, old SANDBOX, we'd be seeing Aatrox top, and then like, I don't even know mid. I can only imagine like I don't know, a LeBlanc or something. That was banned, but either way, it would have looked a little bit differently. And I do like the way that SANDBOX did draft and how they kind of baited Team Dynamics to draft into them and got that supposed counter pick for the top side. I mean, Kennen is still doing good in the CS department, so we'll see if Summit can shore up some of the places where he's getting caught.
Feels to me like SANDBOX are just playing like a team that have found the confidence again, because a lot of what they were doing earlier in the season was just accepting their fate, which was loss. They accidentally won a game against Kingzone, but immediately rectified that mistake. Otherwise, it hasn't been a story of winning for SANDBOX here, but those series of plays, at least until Summit decided to die to Rich, really looked like a team that had a game plan and that were communicating. And this is something that, you know, the fans are talking about, was the fact that in the mic checks this time, SANDBOX are talking to one another. And I don't know whether it's necessarily, you know, Yamato's here and he's inspiring them, blah, blah, blah. But any change is good change when things are going this catastrophically wrong, you know?
Yeah. Just if you're only losing, you might as well switch things up, because you're probably going to lose if you keep doing the same thing, right? Is the point I think you're trying to give. And Rich is beginning to get a little bit confident. He's flashing some sad bumblebees in the face of Summit, saying you're probably crying. And after that Renekton game, I would be crying too. So maybe he's also just trying to tilt Summit out of this game. Could be a nice tactic.
Might be a little bit sad that, you know, the Corki isn't completely out of this game. Lucian does like to eliminate someone's ability to enter a lane phase. What's happening, though, is Root does have Kog'Maw as well as his Caliban, which is Caitlyn.
얘가 먹는다.
So we're gonna have
내가
a look at
먹었다,
it
내가 먹었다.
again. Summit.
내가 먹었어, 얘들아.
It's like he's eating it, he's taking it, and then a couple seconds later he's like, I got it, I ate it.
Well, I hope it was delicious. Summit needs all the advantages that he can get. He's got himself a book, so he might read in there that he should have picked Renekton. So hopefully he doesn't actually rifle through the pages.
Who was it last game that was reading about Renekton? The Syndra, I think.
Yeah, it was the Syndra.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting pick. I mean, there is a decent amount of healing, I suppose, on the enemy side.
Deny the Coco, although that's mostly used after the fact, so you're not really going to use your grievous wounds for that one. There's not even a summoner heal on this Team Dynamics squad.
Yeah. Well, at least he got Proto Belt first, which I feel like is pretty core for Kennen. We saw Cube come out and he built like a... I forget what it was, but it wasn't a Proto Belt. It was some really expensive item. Anyway, we've got to fight.
Yeah, that's a depth charge as, yep, Gorilla understands he needs to get the hell out of here. There were too many people. He wasn't expecting them. Rich has teleported in. Gorilla's going to dive. We'll see whether SANDBOX are going to be able to get the rest of them out of there. And it looks like they are with a couple of flashes. Both of them synced up as Kuzan over the wall. And this is perfectly timed for the Drake to come in 1 second. Summit's going to be able to grab this turret. Does have teleport if they want to contest. And Olaf's still alive. But they're not going to go for it. SANDBOX give away the first Ocean Drake of the game. This time it is Dynamics first. So SANDBOX not as worried as in other instances. And this is allowing Summit to say, well, that's why I bought the Merlinomicon.
Great. Yeah, that's going to help a lot against the turret's healing for sure.
Yep.
And that play was very strange from Gorilla. Okay, so you're walking in here. The enemy is nowhere to be found. You see only Ezreal. It's almost like he found a piece of candy on the ground. He was like, ooh, piece of candy. Let's go for it. And then 2 people show up right over the wall. This is why Bard is amazing. Yep. Double flash for 1 ultimate. So easy.
You get to demand them, which is pretty cool. SANDBOX remain in the lead, close to 3,000 gold. And Fate's pulled things back. He's ahead in farm. Don't know how that's possible, but it's happened. He's very close to his Trinity Force. Kuzan appears like he hasn't been home in a while because he only has his Blade of the Ruin King. And Fate does have Manamune as well as very close to his Trinity Force. Dynamics to clear out some vision, grab themselves Shirley. Minute until she would have gone back home anyway, so you may as well go over and say hi. Bit rude.
Yeah, this is one place where SANDBOX will struggle as a team. We see a lot of the time that they like to go for early aggressive compositions. They haven't done that here, but they still do have trouble in the mid game when they do go for these kind of compositions. And it seems like they just slowly lose their grip over some of the map and kind of just let objectives go to the wayside. As, you know, Shirley went down, the Dragon got caught because Gorilla was totally out of position. Just little mistakes like this can actually really turn the tide of a game, and you do have to be careful not to feed Ezreal Lucian in the mid game, because you are going to have some major problems alongside of a Mordekaiser who kind of thankfully ran into some kills in the early game.
Yeah, actually, Rich is doing very well. Close to collecting his Nash's Tooth. That is going to be on his next back. Now just tidying up the bottom lane. Do want to talk about item spikes a little bit because Fate completed his Muramana as well as his Trinity Force at the same time. Absolute dream for a Corki. Zonfleek's just breaking the Coco. All that Coco. No, not going to be drinking it, not this time around as Fate clears out the minion wave. Comes over, grabs these wards, needs as many CS numbers as possible to just try and ignore what happened at levels 1 through 3. But, you know, he's absolutely fine. Within 2, no worries whatsoever. Root now parked in the mid lane, happily laning against Doctarm, who's behind him by about 20 CS. Close to getting our Runan's Hurricane, which is going to be a really big moment for the Aphelios. And we have to remember that SANDBOX shouldn't be winning at this stage. They have Corki Aphelios, which scale amazingly well. And, you know, their CC and dive potential is really, really strong in this composition. So Dynamics really have to start finding themselves some advantages.
Yeah, little by little. They've got some of them, but they haven't been able to roll it into too much just yet. Beyond is running around looking for possibilities on the map. There's no real objective for anyone to go for. Nobody's going to run down a Baron at this point. So Team Dynamics will look to stack Ocean Drakes, whereas SANDBOX will look to get onto Soul Point in the next one. And we'll have to take a look at item spikes once we do get there. You can see that Ezreal is desperately trying to get Trinity Force here before this fight, which would be pretty fantastic. Lucian pretty far away from Black Cleaver. And on the other side, I mean, you have 2 items here for Corki, Muramana, and you got 2 items for Root. So I feel like they're in a much better spot in terms of item timings. They have the package here too. Might be a mistake for Dynamics to fight here, but at the same time, the onus is on them. As we always say, they've got to kind of find the advantage.
And the answer to Ocean Soul as well is Rich. Yeah, he's going to pop over. Beyond. Ooh, Dredgeline from Gorilla does close some distance, but otherwise not too much more as Kuzan gets exhausted. He may just die. Does have to flash. As Tempted Fate comes in, not going to do too much as Kuzan between a rock and a hard place well and truly. Summon gets exhausted, but does break apart this fight really beautifully. Rich now putting him in the Death Realm, seeing whether he can take him down. He's going to, but it's always going to be a 1-for-1 in that instance. Beyond, Dokdam and Guga still alive. SANDBOX only lose Summit. Bit of a push here as Shirley is going to ram her skull into the outer turret mid lane as Gorilla's going to say no for the moment. But still, she is going to go off. Okay, Root does have to flash to get himself out of the way. The Sky Strike from Beyond is not going to land on the Root. He's going to take that kill. As now, Moonlight Vigil has to get Arcane shifted out of, but Dokdam does deny that ultimate from getting any value. Now just the bottom lane remains from Dynamics, and On Fleek and Root should be very comfortably able to take down this Ocean Drake with the help of Fate.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a look at that replay. I think you guys all have it kind of burned into your brain what did just happen. If you're playing Lucian against Exhaust Corki, do not E forward when there is Nautilus and Kennen right next to him. This is not a good idea. And you can see the Bard tries to save him, the Volibear tries to make something of it, but after you get that far behind and everybody gets out of position, SANDBOX are always going to win this fight. See that Rich? He got pretty fed in the early game, he's trying to make something of it, but the rest of his team is nowhere to be found after the kill, so they just hand over a double kill to the Corki, and they get the Ocean Drake. They try to go for this cube play here with Corki bot, and they say, hey, we could try to win a 3v3. We've got some CC and burst. But Root says, well, I still have flash and heal. And is able to pick up a kill. At least, thankfully, the Nautilus went back in and gave the kill over to the Ezreal. But as we said, I mean, this is the time for Team Dynamics to make a big impact. We're already about 5,000 gold behind.
Well, that's a Ragnarok that definitely needs to be used. Fate is going to find his way into the fight, though, and it's an Olaf that does keep himself alive. Gorilla now in the Death Realm. Wanders towards the turret, but he's got a Gargoyle Stoneblade, so keeps himself alive. There's the depth charge. Throws it onto Rich. Can't explain why. SANDBOX will just clear out the mini wave underneath the turret. So a big cooldown now. Unavailable for Dynamics in that Ward ultimate. And On Fleek's he's got his Warmogs already, so he's very happy to get targeted like that, because then he just walks away for a few moments and then comes back with full health.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing Ezreal eventually get into this Death's Dance, and I think it's really going to be up to Dokdam here to do the majority of the carrying, and maybe Rich can take out one of those really threatening targets, but it's going to be difficult for him because he's really not tanky. He only has Merc Tread, so if you get like Fate or Root into a Death Realm, you might just lose in a straight-up fight, even though they're, you know, essentially both 80 carries. So I think it's going to be really up to Dokdam to try to poke him down, extend these fights, and try to use his mobility to his advantage. But so far, SANDBOX have been doing pretty well to get the good engages off, especially when Kuzan kind of just dashes into them.
Yep. Should probably keep that aside. Let's just say it was good play from Fate. As Sky Strike does nothing. And On Fleek's going to find a few more axes. SANDBOX controlling the upper side river. As Summit holds the fort bottom lane. Black Cleaver finally done for Kuzan. Felt like it took forever to put that item together. And Fate is a full item in the lead. As you can see, iterated right here. Just a frighteningly large amount of items for the Corki, who has had over 1,000 gold after, getting pretty obliterated in the first few levels. Definitely working out as far as this timing is concerned. Still is going to get huge damage spikes as this build keeps coming together. Next item should be something like an Infinity Edge. And then after that, even collecting yourself a Mercurial Scimitar or a more of Malmortius or something like that. Probably not more because he's against a lot of physical damage, but get a lot of different things, and every single time makes that Corki stronger and stronger. I would say Mercurial Scimitar would be good, just so you can get out of a Death Realm if someone's going to try and put you in there.
Yeah.
Someone, I mean Rich.
Ooh. That was a nice little snipe. Cute, I think, is appropriate in this case for that ultimate. Duckdom is going to get it back very quickly. We got a minute until this Ocean Drake. You can see that Team Dynamics is trying to set up a play before it even gets started. Summit does not have TP, and so he could be a decent target if they waited, about 20 seconds. Fate is going to be ready for this. You always save your packets for the big team fight that you know is coming, the big fight around the Ocean Soul point for SANDBOX. And it's actually looking really good for them so far. We'll see if they can put together another team fight, and we'll have to see on the side of Team Dynamics if Guzan can get any value out of this Lucian pick that looked good early on in the lane, but doesn't seem to have really the range to handle the composition that SANDBOX have.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who Rich is going to be death roaming as well. Whether he's just going to go for an easy kill to start things off, or whether he's going to take someone important out of the fight. Be an option here as Root gets back with the rest of his team. Summit in decent flanking position is, oh my goodness, Rich completely chunked, and now it doesn't matter who he puts in the death realm because he's going to die instantly if he goes in there with them, as there's the Moonlight Vigil. A lot of extra damage here as Root does have Cogmore and Caitlyn, the exact combo that you want. Tempered Fate down onto that Ocean Soul Dragon, as the Olaf's going to get pulled back, and they do confirm the Ocean Soul. That bear was put down so quickly. It was insane. And now over a 5,000 gold lead for SANDBOX. They have Ocean Soul. They should not be winning this, and this should be SANDBOX's first match win. This should be Yamato Cannon with a 100% win rate as far as match score in the LCK forever.
Yeah.
The European coach now has, for European coaches in Korea for the LCK, 100% win rate.
100%?
Of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Breaking records right now.
This
Never
is history.
before done.
Yeah.
You guys are with us on the day. And they're going to take down the Baron, and there's really nothing that Team Dynamics can do. They're all respawning here. They might try, but I think it will be in vain. Okay, here they come.
Yeah, well, no Tempered Fate is going to be available. Guga repositions with his Magical Journey. SANDBOX are going to reposition because they don't feel like fighting at this particular point in time. And Summit, he's going to say no. He's got Slicing Maelstrom. He's going to dive on in as, where did he go? Okay, no, he doesn't. That looked weird.
Watch this fight.
Yeah, Summit's just waiting. He's biding his time. Gorilla going to get chunked, and explosions of damage as Summit finds the backline, but that was just the most comfortable you could ever be as a cannon. He waited for that precise moment. Now he's 1v1ing Kuzan. I don't know whether he's going to win this one, but the flash does come through. Kuzan giving respect over to the cannon this time, and SANDBOX, I have a feeling they'll be able to march this one through and possibly even just win the game right here.
It's looking likely. They have the Baron, and with TP's coming in, they might just be able to do it. He's going to stop him for 3 seconds, but that is not going to be enough as they've got a massive wave coming in, and they're going to look to end this one.
Yep, Kuzan going to get ulted. Oh my god, that Frost Bomb exploded the Lucian. Nothing that he could do. The Nexus is going to last about as long, and after a 10,000 gold lead in the end, SANDBOX do pick up their first match victory. And Yamato Cannon, since time on stage, will be 100% match score win rate.
Look at him coming out. He's got the swag. Walking out here with a big smile on his face. He deserves it. Finally makes his way all the way over to Korea. Gets the visa. Stays in quarantine for 14 days. And he's able to put back together, make a change at least. You know, we give him a lot of credit. But at least SANDBOX has been able to put something together. As Summit is like, we did it.
Yeah.
Did it.
And you could tell that, you know, Summit wasn't feeling super good after the Renekton performance. And Yamato recognizing that, giving him some congratulations. So great to see that the whole team is actually together now in SANDBOX. And their run gets a lot easier after this. Remember, they did run the gauntlet. Their last match was against Gen G, before that T1, Dragon X before that, Darmon before that. So that's like the top 4.
Yeah.
You're never winning those games. Before that was Afrika, who are, you know, currently in the best position for 5th. So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, outside of Team Dynamics. But now,
not
Team
anymore.
Dynamics not looking great for that 5th spot.
SANDBOX came in.
I think this might actually be like SANDBOX could potentially just win the rest of their games and do like a pretty perfect Half Alive 6th place. Know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Or you remember KT from Spring? They went 0-5 and then they went like 5-5.
Yeah, true.
It was like 8-5 and then they like settled on 9-7 or something by the end of it and got 5th place.
I feel like they did beat some of the top teams as well and were able to use a little bit more momentum. But this is like actually losing to the top 5 teams.
Yeah.
In the
and
LCK.
You know what? I mean, they do deserve credit. They did outdraft them in Game 3 heavily. I mean,
in Game 1.
They had a good draft there in Game 3. I think that Team Dynamics had a pretty poor draft in Game 3 at the same time, but you'll take it, right? I mean,
absolutely.
They come in, they make some changes. Yamato whispers a couple of things into Gorilla's ear, and then all of a sudden they end up with a win. So whatever works.
Yeah, it was really nicely done. And I think there's something to be said for like finally having what you're supposed to have, you know, and feeling like you're playing at a disadvantage for the first few weeks must have been rough for SANDBOX. I think the games, the result may not have actually changed whatsoever. Do you remember what happened in the game?
I'm trying to remember. Let's see. I kind of want to give it to Summit, even though
I want to give it to Fate. I'd want.
Yeah, you think so?
He didn't die. He had a horror early game, and he came back, and he was the one that capitalized on Kuzan being a bit silly. Maybe there's an argument for Fate. What does the collective say?
I'm trying to think about. Yeah, I think we're. No, I think I'm going for Summit.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Summit.
All right. That's all right.
You're
the one that can vote. My vote was taken away.
It's only when I put on the Analyst suit.
That's
true. This beige one. This is the one with all the power. The blue one has no power, unfortunately. Yeah, no. This is like a level 5 armor I'm wearing.
In
like
days like
60.
this, when it goes a little bit like too long, then I get worried that I'm going to lose all of my power. It just keeps sucking it out.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And tough. The game was this is part of the reason why we're not a big fan of Lucian as well here in the LCK. We know that Rich and Kuzan are both very good at the mechanics of Lucian, but it just doesn't look great. Summit had some troubles early on, but remember that he only got caught here because he made a play in the mid lane to get his mid laner online. So I feel like he had a little bit of a rough early game, but he was also helping his team, and then his engages later games were really good. So that was kind of my idea for why I did give him player of the game.
Yep, I don't mind it. I actually feel like some of his later plays were fantastic. The last one, his patience was very, very nice to see. As this is probably one of the reasons why I'd give it to Fate, who turns this onto Kuzan instantly.
Yeah, I mean, Kuzan, not the best performance from here. Fate did have some really good mechanics. He immediately reacted to everything that was thrown towards him. Not even just the Kuzan, but also dodging the Volibear ultimate. And eventually did do a really good job in terms of damage.
In this fight, Fate is doing the most damage to bottom lane minions out of anyone else on the team.
That's good. He's doing something.
Yep.
And yeah, I didn't feel like anybody else really on the team was doing all that much, to be perfectly honest. I mean, Gorilla, he had a couple of really big blunders, had some decent engages afterwards, And then you think about on Fleek, I mean, he was kind of just Olafing.
야 먹자 먹자.
먹어. 바드
Like,
먹었어. 먹어.
yeah, yeah, take it, take
골배
it, take it.
막아줄게.
버스
됐다.
아래로
아래로
빼면서
아래로.
대폭긴 조심.
They're saying
빼봐.
back,
끌어,
back
끌어,
through
끌어,
the
끌어, 끌어, 끌어.
bottom
공각
side.
군데.
앞이다.
우리 앞에 끌려왔어. 천천히.
싸운 거
Take it
보면
slow.
앞에 있지 않냐? 앞에 있지 않냐?
괜찮아.
괜찮다.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
맞아. 앞에 맞아.
골배 맞아. 난
Go for
루시안
Volibear, go for Volibear.
노데치. 나이스.
야, 전에 터치 말.
노데치.
내가
아, 미드 가봐.
No dash.
따라가봐.
같이 안 바뀌었다. 그냥 미드라인.
따라가면서 미드. 캐는 따라가봐.
그냥 1대1 지면 안 따라가도 되는데.
이길 것 같은데?
내가 왜
They're
줘?
saying, you know,
안 믿어.
나 루시안 높을.
let's go,
형이
Kennen, but
대치고
he's like, oh, Kennen doesn't
대치고.
really have to follow.
내가 잡았어 얘들아.
And then
혈주 끝내자.
eventually he
대우비 형 보고
TP.
계신가요?
혈주 끝내자.
상관없어. 천천히.
아, 무조건 끝났어.
Take it slow,
무조건
let's end it.
끝냈어. 고생했다 얘들아. 잘했다.
됐다.
It was hard, guys. You did a good job.
루시안 궁 써줄게. 그냥 밀어.
Of course,
잘 잡아.
Gorilla.
이거 이거.
Yeah. Being the team player for
고생했어.
his younger brothers there on the team, trying to cheer them up, saying, you know, you guys played hard, you played well, good job.
Yep, got there in the end, and they were able to. The first match win for SANDBOX. And a pretty good welcome for Yamato Cannon as well. As we do see some of the damage numbers pretty even, actually, to be honest, apart from the bottom side. Maybe doing a bit more, and Kuzan leaving a little bit to be desired on his at least dominant in the early game. Lucian just didn't actually do anything else after that. So kudos to him. I feel like the Volibear didn't really do anything as well out of Beyond. That was pretty forgettable.
Yeah.
So Dynamics probably back to the drawing board. I actually liked some of their drafts against Dragon X, but against DRX, but I don't know, the drafting here today felt a bit wonky. Felt a little bit off.
Yeah, maybe DRX broke them.
Maybe.
2-0'd them real quick. They're like, is Varus even good anymore? Like, what does this mean?
And
for
then they got
drafting?
baited again.
Yeah.
And now they're very confused. Because now, obviously, it's terrible.
Fate.
As Fate is going to get it. Atlas reigns supreme.
Wow. If it's another 11 to 12, I'm not going to be happy.
Just assume that it's actually 11 to, 12 to 13.
Yes. Well, it won't be shown on screen anyway, so we're not going to...
It's okay. Our producer's going to let us know what it is. So,
Yeah,
Collective,
well-
I'll let you know.
No, we don't have to say anything about it. So here was Fate following up on everything else that his teammates did.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. He did have a good game. He was really on point with his quirky packages, I would say, specifically. Like the timing and how to play quirky was really good. His mechanics were on point. He kind of got dumped on in lane, but again, it's part of the matchup as well. So it's hard to really blame him for that exactly. As the results are out, it was 5 out of 12.
5 out of 12. So actually, it needed to be 3 tiebreaker.
3 votes for top, by the way. So that was second.
Yeah, there you go.
2 votes for bot, 1 for jungle, 1 for support.
Okay, so it didn't need to be tiebreaker. It's just no one really understood who they were supposed to vote for in this game, which I think makes some sense.
Let's vote for Yamato.
Yeah, I think that's how you vote for the coach, is by spreading all of your votes around.
Pretty
So,
much.
Speaking of voting, we get to actually talk to SANDBOX for the first time this season, which is very, very exciting. So let's hand it over to Ji-sun for some translation.
Congratulations on the win on Fleet and Fate. We'll be hearing from the SANDBOX players for the first time this split.
사실 좀 많이 연패하면서
We were having a losing
저희가
streak,
준비했던 게
and
잘 맞지 않았나 생각이 들었는데
we kind of
이제
thought that
저희
maybe something that we prepared
영화
was
때문에
not
바꾸는
correct.
것이면서
But
이제
since
잘
Yamato
준비할 수
joined,
있을 것 같아요.
I guess we can kind of
후속이
move
될 것
forward. That was the starting of our improvement.
일단 좀 저희 팀 성적이 안 좋다가
We are having bad results, but in the end, we finally got a win. So I am happy, but at the same time, I made a lot of blunders, so I am not that satisfied, to be honest. Well, that's like a humble state of mind, like Daft. You know, some players like that, but it's really nice to see players being actually really controlled and having a little bit of a self-respective of themselves. I want to ask you about the communication of your team.
일단 저희 감독님
What is it like to be with Yamato?
영혼을 되게 좋아하시는 것 같더라고요.
I think he likes some cool quotes. So he gives us a lot of good advices and cheers us up. So it kind of boosts our confidence. Any quotes that you can share?
어떤 말씀이 기억납니까?
되게
Well,
많긴 한데 일단
there were a
오늘
lot.
여기 경기장에서 해주신 말씀
but today he told us at the Yellow Park
하나하나 개개인별로 보면 일단 손가락 한 마디씩이라고
that
해서
he told us like every game we have the take every game at a time, and like one finger is all combined, then it can become a fist, but one finger cannot defeat a fist, so we can all just like gather it up and kind of cheer up. And I heard that your English is actually decent, that you help the communication. Yeah, I kind of understand what it says.
영어 부분에 제일 답답해하는 선수 누구 있어요?
Who has the hardest time with English in your team?
약간 웃고 있는 페이트?
Maybe Fate?
몇 마디는 안 해도 야마토가 감독님
With a smirk on his face?
저는 얘기를 다 알아듣지 못하고
I cannot understand everything it says, but I kind of guess with the words that I understand. So whenever I hear the words that I actually know, I can kind of get the context.
다른 사람 어떻게 생각할지는 모르겠는데
And
서민 선수가
I don't know what others think, but I think Summit is having the hardest time with English.
공부 좀 해야겠다.
Yeah, I think he gotta study a little bit.
탑은 그쪽 언어가 따로 있으니까요.
네. 자, 팬픽부터 달라진 모습 한번 짚어주시겠어요? 네.
그렇죠. 1세트의 뱀픽이
In game number 1, you guys picked Aurelia, Volibear, Senna, Tom Kent, and also it was farming Senna. And also you guys opened Varus. So what was the strength of your comp, and what was the reason for letting Varus through the pick and bans? Who should answer this question?
일단 저번에
If I
한번
have to answer,
선수한테
well,
한다고 나서
we got punished by Klit's Volibear and realized that it's a really great pick. So I thought it was on the top of the tier list.
특히 탑이 자신감 있는
Our comp was about like going all together, especially our top laner got the confidence pick. Fate, I'm pretty sure you would have felt a lot of pressure, especially in game number 3. You were having a lot of hard time on Corki during the laning phase. So what's your thought on that pick, and what was the matchup up against Lucian like?
이번 매치업이 아니어서 생각
Well,
초반에 좀 많이
it was harder than I expected because I haven't done this matchup for a lot of times. However, all the remaining players, they had the priority, so I was able to scale up in the later phase. Yeah, Olaf was always having your back. Gorilla also was taking good care of you, right? That's how you scaled. So what did you feel at that moment?
든든하긴 했어요.
So reliable.
말고 오늘 신드라 플레이가 굉장히 좋아하는데
Besides Corki, your performance on Syndra was really on point, but LCK is a region that doesn't really prefers Syndra on mid lane.
일단 그 플레이어 자체가
Syndra.
지속적으로 플레이할 수도 있고 좀
It's a really good champion
부담감이 상대적으로 좀 덜한 챔피언이라고 생각해요.
because it gives you less pressure when you blind pick it, and also some players can pilot it really aggressively. And the fans were saying that LPL, we have Fate that plays Syndra really well, but in LCK, we have Fate.
자, 이제 다음 경기 이제 1승까지 전환을 했으니까
Moving on, you'll be facing up against Hana Life Esports, Korean, Prince, some of them East teams, to be honest. Do you think it was because you guys are going up against some of the toughest team in LCK?
앞선 경기들이
In the earlier series, we were going up against the top contenders, and we were on this process where we were trying to find out our synergy, and that was the main reason why we were having some hard times. And the remaining opponents, who is relatively easier compared to the ones that we faced earlier. And with this victory, I think we were able to stack up more of a trust between the players, so I think we can move forward all together.
그럼 이제 말씀드린 바와 같이 하나생명 KT 설혜원 이 대진을 남겨두고 있습니다.
Hana Life Esports KT's Horeon Prince will be your remaining opponents.
인터뷰하는데 한 말씀
So lastly, is there any message you would like to share to the fans or Yamato?
부산 팬분들 그동안
To my fans?
많이 연타하면서 좀
Well,
실망을 많이 하셨을 것 같은데
I know our
그래도
fans must be really
끝까지
disappointed
감사드리고
through the losing streak, but I just want to say thank you for supporting us through the thick and thin. And to Yamato in English,
Today I am very proud of you. From now on, I feel we can go up more and more. Okay? Let's go Yamato. Thank you.
let's go Yamato. Thank you was the word from On Fleek. A very impressive quote.
사실 할 수 있어도 이게 직접 마이크 대고 어려운
I mean, it's really hard to kind of be really confident on the in front of the camera, even though some people find it really hard when they know how to speak in English. So that was really impressive interview from On Fleek. And yeah, let's wrap it up for tonight. That was the interview of On Fleek and Fate from SANDBOX Gaming, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, G-Sun, as usual. And my goodness, on fleek, let's get him on the POG stage. Filming the next episode
We
tomorrow.
have scouted our next
Yep, it's happening.
target.
It's happening.
Yeah.
He's definitely going on. We discovered Umpty at one point, but he's not in the LCK anymore. Thankfully, we've got another jungler who can join us.
Man, he was really good, actually.
Yeah,
Very
not bad.
comfortable.
Yeah.
The pronunciation was really good. That's difficult, guys. Bilingual, wow.
It's especially difficult to keep that a secret from us this
Yeah.
whole time, you know? So,
He just
very
didn't,
impressed.
You know, he didn't want to overwhelm us with his amazing power.
Exactly.
His Olaf first, and now his English. Wow.
Just All right, Solo One Prince taking on DRX is our first match tomorrow, the last match day of week 3, and then KT versus Afrika. This is looking like a battle for 5th, a very interesting one. As after Dynamics fell down, I'm actually very interested in what this means for the standings. As I believe if KT wins, they move to 3-3. Afrika will then be 3-3, and Dynamics will be, you guessed it, 3-3.
3-3. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Those are the 3 teams, it turns out. That's a lot of 3s. The 3 teams that would be fighting for 5th place.
Yeah. If only they were fighting for 3rd.
No, well.
That would have involved needing a lot of other teams to go far
not
worse.
yet. Maybe next year.
And I think that's actually impossible for that one to happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for our Saturday's matches. We'll see you tomorrow for more LCK. Good night.
And I am ready to take it on. You told me to be myself and never feel alone. You're all that I want, you're all that I need. If I was ever in the dark